Hi, students. It's Miss Anderson. If I'm not with you, it is because there's a sub in the classroom. I'm actually at school, but I'm being pulled for the next couple of days into meetings where I'm really going to break down your quarter 3 data. And as we get super specific as we data dive, then I'm going to know exactly for each student where I need to maneuver and massage it so that you get masters on your reading star in May. Okay. So please know that even though I'm not here physically in the classroom, I am physically at school and I'm doing a lot of research and a lot of homework so that I can make sure and get you exactly where you need to be when this quarter 4 ends. Okay. So we are in Transcendentalism. Please remember that Transcendentalism occurred in the early 1800s. It really started to blossom around the 1830s. From Transcendentalism became all of the movements to fight against the isms like racism, right? Your transcendentalist became your abolitionist and helped to push forward the Emancipation Proclamation in the later 1800s. Then we've got, especially one that we're going to look at today, we've got women that were getting a little feisty around this time. And they were thinking, hey, we deserve equal rights too. And so today you're really going to be looking at one of the very first feminists. She was considered one of the first transcendentalists. Her name is Margaret Fuller. And she, in turn, helped to push the movement for women's suffrage, for us to be able to have the right to vote in 1920. Then we get to World War II, and that's when women really get out into the workforce, okay? So please remember that Transcendentalism is a philosophy, and it promoted self-reliance, it promoted intuition, right? Or our gut instinct. We know ourselves so well, we trust ourselves so much that what our gut tells us is usually what we need to do over even logic or reason. And it really promotes independence, where you march to the beat of your own drummer and you're not ashamed to do so. We've seen women in literature like Frida, who did the same in Mexico. In the 1800s, late 1800s, she was marching to the beat of her own drummer, right? We see that with Kate Chopin when she was in New Orleans in the early 1900s. She was walking around the streets of NOLA with no man, shame, shame, right? All the while she was smoking a cigarette, which women should not be doing back in that time. Really, none of us should be doing that anyways, because it's bad for you. And then we've got Susan Glassbill in the early 1900s, where she was writing a one-act play about a woman who actually kills her husband, right? Because he killed the joy in her and also her bird. So we see all of these greats, even like a Frederick Douglass or a Harriet Tubman, really got that fire and feistiness to step outside and really stand for what they believe in. Even a Martin Luther King Jr. This all stems back to this moment in time, and it's Transcendentalism in America in the early 1800s. So what I want you to do today is, before you work on your bell ringer, and this is just to kind of get our wheels cooking, I want you to watch this video on Transcendentalism and Ralph Waldo Emerson. It's going to give you a lot of continued background. You can also jump back in your slide deck from the beginning of the week. It gives you all of that information about Transcendentalism so that you can write to your bell ringer. It is a one full meaty paragraph with regards to how did American Transcendentalism relate to social movements at the time. Okay, now think about this. We want to abolish slavery. Okay, so think about the abolitionist movement. Think about women's suffrage. Also, too, think about classism, right? What was the very reason why the Europeans left Europe to come over to establish themselves in the United States? They're fleeing from something, right? Either from religious persecution, they're fleeing the monarch because they don't believe the king should have all the rule. Maybe they're fleeing because they want to make some money. They're sick of being in a class, right, that's already predestined. But what movements really played a part in Transcendentalism that we've already even looked at? But watch this video, and then you want to answer a meaty paragraph to this question right here. Then we get into our unit organizer. Today, you're going to be reading an informational article about Margaret Fuller. You're going to get to know her a little more. You're going to break this down, drain all the information, and you're going to fill in a frame for me, which will be your exit ticket, along with creating a thesis statement around this informational article. So please remember that we're focused on our deeper thinking skills. We're becoming better at our subject matter knowledge. We're becoming better at research and independent study skills. We're getting to know ourselves better. We've got a better handle on self-concept. And every day we're striving to be better leaders. We do that by elevating our academic vocabulary, right? It's the foundation to the mansion we're building, and we're not building a shack. Author's purpose. Today, we're really looking at the elements of nonfiction. They're going to be laying out an informational article that's going to explain, describe, and give information about Margaret Fuller's life, more like a biography. We want to drain the text while we're in it. We want to use our reading strategies really to infer. And when we infer, that means we're thinking aloud. We're asking questions. We're drawing, oh, I remember when I read about this, I can tie it to this. As we're engaging in that text and we're really diving in and draining it of all the information, when we do that, we're analyzing, right? And when we're asking ourselves these questions and making predictions, we're inferencing. That's going to be the teak for today. That's the what of our lesson. When we do that in the literature and we drain it, we're analyzing the text, okay? We're going to get a deeper understanding of what the author is trying to tell us. And by virtue of becoming a better reader, we become a better writer. When we become a better writer, we have something to speak about and we're confident in our speaking skills. And then finally, we want to synthesize or draw all the connections to our other classes, take all of our reading strategies that we're learning, and we want to take them with us and spread them across to the other classes. Enclosed is your learning target for today. Here is the what. I was referring to that just a second ago. We're going to be making inferences. That's when we're engaged in reading the literature. We're going to drain all the information from the article, and we're going to use text evidence to support our understanding. This is the actual teak that we're working on today. That is the what of the lesson. How are we going to do that? We're going to do it by marking up the text to make deeper connections so that we drain the text to get to controlling idea. You're actually going to be creating the thesis statement for the article today. And why are we doing this? Because we need to use our metacognitive skills or our thinking about our thinking to develop and deepen our comprehension of increasingly complex text. Today, in quarter 3, we should be demonstrating proficiency 4 to 5. We should be able to make deep inferences in the text. I will tell you that the text is a high school level text, but you can tackle it with your reading strategies, and you absolutely can be analyzing and inferencing at a level 4 to 5 today. No problem. And you should be able to do that independently. So here you're going to look at just some background information about Margaret Fuller. I want you to watch the video if you can, and then just read a little bit about her and see if you can draw some connections to Kate Chopin or Susan Glassbill or even Harriet Tubman. A lot of the abolitionists and the feminists of that time, you're going to see a lot of similarities because they're going to try to use their voice. They can't just come out and say it, right? So you're going to see a lot of it in their literature and what they're publishing. So watch for those ties and see if you can synthesize some of that information. I've included more information on the background of Margaret Fuller. Please read all through this before you get to the informational text, okay? And notice that I've QHT'd or highlighted some of the keywords that you need to watch for, okay? See if you can make some connections to the text. Then enclosed is your Margaret Fuller informational text and activity. You're going to get into this right here, Let me show you quickly. And let me explain what I need for you to do. And then I'll be done and I will release you to your assignment today. Okay, enclosed is the article on Margaret Fuller. You're going to read all about her. Okay, clearly you're going to be marking this text up. It's a little bit longer and it looks like it's got tons of information. You need to mark it up. You need to highlight it. You need to make notes. You need to QHT your words. You need to be inferencing and asking yourself questions, drawing connections. Notice your timeline in your mind. And then when you get done, and it's imperative that you mark up the text, because if you don't, you're not going to be able to answer these questions. I want you to fill out the frame when you are done. Can you work with a partner? Absolutely. This is not a test, so you can always work with a partner. Okay. You're going to fill this frame out. Then you're going to get back to the slide deck, and I want to show you what your exit ticket is. Once you fill the frame out, I want you to create a thesis statement regarding the article. You're answering the what. So you're going to include the title of the article, and clearly it's about Margaret Fuller. So you want to include all of that information in your what. The how is what are the main points or the summary points that were covered in the article. Give me about 2 or 3 in your how. And then why. Give me that life lesson. Why do we even need to care about Margaret Fuller? Let me give you an idea. She was one of the first Transcendentalists. She was one of the first women ever published. She was one of our first feminists. She was a key factor in the women's suffrage happening in 1920. So that could be included in part of your why. You're going to fill out your frame of your thesis statement to reach the controlling idea. Then I'm going to ask you a proficiency 5 question. How is feminism developed from Transcendentalism? What role did Margaret Fuller play in that? Then you're going to submit your slide deck back to me, and you're done with me for today. Okay, so use a partner if you need to. If you're a remote student and you want to account for your time, I'll go ahead and put Ms. McLean's Google Meets on for you. You can jump on hers and work on my assignment, and I will see you guys towards the end of the week. Thank you.